MRMD. The team has been together almost 10 years. We add people all the time. We feel that our business is only good as the people that are operating it and share our vision and our mission. We've done a lot of research, and this cannabis is a miracle plant, and I think the industry is learning that the use of cannabinoids have all sorts of benefits of health and wellness for a variety of illnesses. And I think we all sometimes lose fact as we come to these investment things and talk about money and land grabs and public and private. I think we all should remember that there are people getting great benefits from this, and it's not just all about the money. And I think as we talk about who we are, I mean, we are, as I said, a publicly traded company. We're an industry leader in the development of seed-to-sale cannabis facilities. We've won 13 licenses in cultivation, production, and dispensaries in 8 states and now growing. We've developed and managed over 300,000 square feet of state-of-the-art premier facilities. And we've developed our own broad portfolio of trusted, precision-dose, high-quality products. And where it says cannabis, you can now say hemp, or cannabinoids from both cannabis and from hemp. We think we're a leader in innovation and technology, and we do a lot to support doctors' research, physician outreach, because I think it's incumbent upon all of us to educate and teach and train. I mean, over the last 10 years, we've seen us going from crazy people, we're going to make all our children drive into trees, their cars over cliffs. I think as this gets more mainstream, the industry needs to continue to educate state to state. I mean, we're Massachusetts-based, and we keep coming back to like helping people. It's educating. You would think after all these years, these towns and cities wouldn't be giving us all the challenges we had for zoning, and our banks wouldn't be giving all the issues of banking, but the federal prohibition has stopped this plant from being more mainstream. It's prevented us from having the benefits that every other industry has, and companies like ourselves have to look for workarounds and challenges as we move forward. So we have a bunch of guys that we've had to, John, myself, John Levine, Tim Shaw, and now Mr. Finney here. We've added a strategic thinker from Roth Capital to help us in our capital markets. John, Tim, and I have been the core of the management team that has worked grassroots, state to state, building these facilities and dealing with state laws and regulations. Our strategy was to be a regional leader. We didn't think the guys from California knew everything. We thought we could learn from what they did, and we could bring that education and that learning curve east, you know, where we find the business atmosphere to be more grounded. We find that having limited licenses and heavy compliant East Coast environment was a better, sounder place for business rather than what we see Wild West in Colorado and California. But our goal was to win more licenses, make our products and our systems scalable, replicable, and to expand it state to state. We've done that. And right now, and I'll get to that later, we've just invested $30 million into hemp. We found what we think is the finest hemp production company in Kentucky, good American Kentucky. There you go, looking ducky, supported by Senator McConnell, who finally got Trump to sign something, the 2018 Farm Bill, which basically has taken cannabinoids derived from hemp off of the Controlled Substance Act, which opens up across state borders, opens up a whole new industry that's going to parallel cannabis. So we'll talk a little about that. And, you know, we've developed state-of-the-art flagship things. We started in Providence, Rhode Island. We had one of the first licenses there back in 2007 and 8. In 2011, the U.S. Attorney finally allowed us to open. In there, we have a seed-to-sale with medical facility. We have 17,000 captive patients. We do over 1,000 transactions a day, and the revenue and the earnings from that facility are great. We took those systems and now we've replicated it in many other states. And you know, our goal while we did this was to find branded products, because I think ultimately branding and distribution is going to be it. In another industry, I created databases in the supermarket and stores for the packaged goods girl, and I think we just made a recent investment in a company called Sprout, and we believe that gaining a direct access to the consumer, creating a CR engine, finding out how people enjoy or get benefits from the different doses and formulations that ultimately will decide who buys what and which brands and which that. So our goal is to develop this into a network in the states that we own and operate, but also find strategic partners in other states so that our branded products will be in a network of 5,000 plus dispensaries in 30 to all the states that allow some sort of legal entity. So we're there. We train people, and we have a full line of CBD. These are some of the footprints of the states we're in. We're in conversations with M&A partners. As we quietly on the OTC, our stock keeps going up and up. People say, well, when are you going to Canada and be one of the multi-state operators up there? We haven't done that yet, because somehow on the OTC, we've been the most productive stock in New England, if not in the country, in cannabis in the U.S. market. That's our footprint. We're the wholesale leader in Maryland right now. We have a 180,000-foot facility that we've built out, and we're wholesaling to the 61 stores now that will grow to 102. And we're bringing new innovative products to Maryland and other states. We have exclusive genetics. We have a relationship with Tikkun Olam from Israel, and we use their 10 years of medical research to our advantage, because sometimes the Star of David sells in health and wellness to the doctors. We've now developed a 100,000-foot building in Massachusetts, which now has gone adult, and we're opening up 3 dispensaries and building a wholesale marketplace to the crazy stuff that's going on in Mass now that the commission has allowed adult and they have a new commission. So Massachusetts will be huge for us. We started the pilot program in Delaware 3 years ago. We were the only license for 2 years. We took a program that had 250 licensed patients that now has 7,000. Our revenue went from very small to it's over $1 million a month. We have a full seed-to-sale service place in Wilmington, Delaware, and we just opened a dispensary down in Lewes, down by the Delaware shore. We are the dominant player in Rhode Island. We take people to this facility, and they never believe that I want one roof on one lot. We have over 300 SKUs, 17,000 patients, 1,000 transactions a day, and everything is made on the location and distributed. In Rhode Island, we have great interaction with local physicians. We have a clinic for mothers with epileptic children. And we make sure that before we give a 3-year-old CBD, it's tested and retested, and it's the same every time, every transaction, with that mother and the pediatric neurologist standing next besides. Some of our branded products are here. In Delaware, we've created a brand for our flower called Nature's Heritage. We're developing undercarm fusion, dissolvable strips, oral thin strips, and other things. We remarket Lucid Mood. We're one of the first people doing mood-based products for effects. And obviously, we talked about our friends in Tikkun Olam. As I said earlier, you know, these days of the $10, $20 million indoor grows are going to be challenged when federal legalization comes, and I think it's important that branding, distribution, databases, and that across the wide spectrum of state to state. So we like to say the technology is our thing and databases are our thing, but distribution, there's a lot of young creative people that come up with products that don't have the capital or the wherewithal to take it anywhere. And so if we could be the funnel to validate, test it, make sure it's right in one state, and then be able to turn on the spigot to take it across the whole country and beyond, that's what we think we want to be. We want to be that network. So we're building this network. We're now talking to partners in Canada, Latin America, Portugal, our friend Bobby from Greece. And it's going to be international. We need to. I mean, as a US-based company, we know our marketplace is dominant. We see some of our Canadian friends that can't come here because of the federal law, branching out into all these states. But I think education and training and taking scalable best practices is going to give us continue to be in a leadership position across the world. And let's just talk about the CBD. When we saw that this farm bill was going to pass, we scoured the country for the best producer, and we found the guys that were involved in the original genetics of Charlotte's Web, and they made their home in Kentucky. And we know that when basically when the big companies come in, everyone talks about I can make hemp in China and Africa and Mexico. But I think that the medical wellness of this thing, that companies like Walgreens and CVS and the big box retailers are going to demand compliant, GMP, FDA approved or quality oils. And we believe that the marketplace for this is huge. We believe that the supply will not handle the demand in the next 3 years. The people that are just growing and hoping for the best, the stuff you're getting online, God, we do our own analysis and we find out there's hardly any CBD. So what's in the bottle is going to matter. What's in the lotion is going to matter. Formulations of actually getting people the best results will matter. And companies like ours that will focus on best of breeds, best of formula, best of testing are going to make a differentiated difference. So we this week announced that we formed a new division of our public company called MariMed Hemp. We're in the process of hiring a whole executive team that we're interviewing. Some of these people include executives with 20 years experience in consumer packaged goods companies, but fully deep experience in building distribution networks. We have a contracted force of ex-pharmaceutical people that will call on 1,500 to 3,000 doctors' offices, chiropractors, and who are now selling the CBD. The amazing thing about CBD, and I ask people, how many people think, what's the population of the US that has no idea what CBD is? And we're guessing it's like 90%. So who are these 10% that are running to it, that understand that there might be cannabinoids in it that will give them antispasmodic, some healing, some wellness? So that marketplace is just happening. So we believe that being the quality of letting this company, Gencana, have the capital to focus on their core competency of being the best genetics, the best growers, the best producers of the most compliant US-based CBD oils is going to be huge for us. And that's it. So let's see where this goes. So we are a company that our stock has been growing. We've had 16 quarters of continued growth, and we've somehow established a market cap here of almost $800 million, and our stock is getting well traded. We don't have the, being on the OTC, we haven't had the power of the big institutions that only go to NASDAQ and now go to the CSE. But somehow all those guys up in Canada says, boy, you're doing pretty well. So we may end up, but I think it's important that our messaging has changed. As we started early on, we were bidding on projects in states that were where referendums forced these states to accept it. They had requirements that you couldn't be for profit. So we were dealing in applications where you had to be a not-for-profit. It was more of a competitive place, and you had to find local people that had a history and a reason and a cause, and we did that pretty successfully. Well, when I hired my friend from Roth Capital, he said that nobody knows that you have the footprint and the size of some of these large multi-state companies, and that you needed to take your rightful place. So we introduced a strategy of consolidating the companies that we built and run and operate, where we have hundreds of help. And so we're looking like a company whose revenue is growing. I don't know what we've announced this year, but we've almost doubled what we did the year before. But when we consolidate the underlying cannabis income onto our public income statement, we're really on a 100 million plus run rate for 2019 with very, very healthy EBITDA. Add that to our hemp, which we think is leveraged. We've now probably lined up over 20,000 acres of hemp to become one of the largest producers of CBD quality oil hemp with our partner in Kentucky in the United States, if not in the world. I find it amazing. Everyone says you're going to get this stuff from China. We're getting demand from China and Indonesia, and because they want the US-based American, high-quality, high-compliant medical products. And that's it. We're located in Norwood, Massachusetts. We're Massachusetts-based. We're looking to grow across the country. We think our opportunity for growth in the next 2 years is going to be large. And we look to help everyone in the industry and be a participant in giving something back because of all the good things that this plant and cannabinoids can really do. So that's my speech. I'll take some questions. I have 6 minutes. Please.
On the stock side, on that side, why is the float so minimal compared to the market cap?
Yeah, it is. It's because management controls most of the stock, and they're not interested in selling single share, frankly. So it's a tiny float. It's like Tilray. It's one reason Tilray stock goes.
It's not investors, it's management owns over 90% of the companies still?
No.
It's mostly held. It's management and friends, it's friends and family. And there's also some private investments with long-term lockups there, too. It's just a tiny float. Look at Tilray's got an even smaller percentage float than that.
That's an investment. Tilray is different. That's one investor.
It's a couple of investors. I know them very well.
All right.
So yeah, our float, I mean, what Charlie's saying is over 70% of the stock still controlled by the original core people. The people the investors that have come to us are long-term investors. They've done really well as our stock's gone from 10 cents up to $3, $4. We never filed a registration. So the money we take in, we want people to be long-term investors. When I first did this public, I would go to these LD micros, and all these hedge funds would say, how much money do you want, and what's your liquidity? I said, what do you care about my liquidity for? You want to sell the stock before you buy it? You're not the guys. The friends of mine that have invested millions are looking for us to be growing towards $20 or whatever a share, long-term, strong management, strong growth. Question? Yes, sir.
had a target of 5,000 outlets in 2-3 years. You have 12 now, right?
Other people's dispensaries.
Yeah.
Distribute to other people.
Right, so we distribute to states. So you look at Colorado, there's 800. You look at California, there used to be 3,000. You add it all up. But yes, the brands, I mean, the business of getting a share of wholesale revenue in 5,000 stores without the capital requirement of management is the opportunity of substantially high profit, high growth. Bobby. Ladies always first.
Talking about hemp, I think the industrial hemp is getting, what, about 8%? And we expect that when you get going, are growing really quality U.S. hemp, it may go as high as 18% yield. What does that do to margins? What does it do to the international market? How do we cope in a good way with a higher quality?
Well, higher, what she's talking about is the quality of, the percentage of active ingredients, CBD, in a thing. I mean, right now we're north of 10, which is great. I mean, sometimes when you do seeds, so that's, 18 would be huge. What does it mean to margin? I mean, for every pound, if you're getting 10% CBD, you're getting 1/10 of a pound of active ingredients. If you could get 18, you'd be getting 18%. To the margin, it would be almost double-digit growth.
And I think it would change the world market, too.
Absolutely.
Standard.
Because, you know, I've seen the price of CBD isolate go from $20,000 a kilo to, I mean, bad stuff is $3,000, and our Kentucky guys are getting almost $7,000 for the quality that it is. Question back there?
Have you disclosed how many acres Kentucky would have as an expected production?
Well, our company's in Ghana. We're looking to tie down 20,000 acres. They have 10 right now, and we're forming an alliance with someone with another 10. You know, and the beauty of this, there's one harvest a year in Kentucky. And, you know, ironically, Kentucky was the hemp state 100 years ago. It would grow there, and they produced it. And when the federal ban came, they took it away, and, you know, they started growing a lot of tobacco. But the other benefit of the business is you can leverage the farmers that own these things and engage them, provide them the genetics, provide them the training, and take their biomass output and turn it into money for everybody. So with 20,000 acres, think about 3,000 plants per acre. Well, then thank you for the time, and if anyone has any issue, wants to know any information, I have some brochures, and whatever follow-up you need, we're here to help educate anyone we can. Thank you.